3, 2, 1.
All cannabis on High Fantasy is consumed and purchased legally.
I fucked it up.
How dare you?
How dare you? Look at our new mics, dude.
I know, dude.
This feels good.
I'm very excited about
You guys
this.
like that, chat?
We don't have to like talk loudly into the same
No, we
mic.
don't. What were we talking about before we hit record? Your character and how he's
LARP
like,
characters.
yeah, and how he's like,
so let's just start from the beginning of that conversation.
I don't remember it.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So when I got asked recently about my LARP character, Jesse Hatfield.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Chance and I frequent a LARP called Dystopia Rising. It is a zombie apocalypse themed LARP, though it's less about the zombies and more about the people who live in the apocalypse.
It's more about how many last names a person.
Oh my god, yeah. You just collect last names. I hate that so much.
I do too. Like,
I think it's good for purebloods because it was originally a pureblood thing, and then everybody started doing it.
Yeah, like have fun how you want. Like I'm not gonna yell anybody for it, but I'm still gonna be like,
I'll judge you a little bit. That's why Jesse only has one last name. Even if he gets married to like so many people, he's still gonna have the one last name.
Yeah.
They will just have to adopt his.
Exactly.
But my character, Jesse Hatfield, if I had to describe him, like I was asked to describe him, and I described him as a Wild West railroad tycoon.
Yeah.
Like a cowboy railroad tycoon who's a little seedy.
Yeah, and then I was like Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Django Unchained.
Yes, yeah, Monsieur Candy, without the racism.
Yeah.
That's another, because like I really did base a lot of Jesse's like mannerisms and how he interacts with people off of Leo in that movie.
Yeah.
Just minus the racism.
Yeah.
Like, because Jesse is just as easy to set off, but he hides it a little better.
Yeah. That's kind of what I did with Lucky.
Yeah.
With the butcher from the Gangs of New York.
Yes.
I was just the butcher minus the racism.
I mean, that's really what we had to
we
do.
just took two racist characters and was like, what if no? What if not racist?
And we made them.
Yeah, and look at us now, chat.
But
yeah.
But yeah, Leo really inspired me a lot in that movie specifically.
He also fucking killed it in that movie.
Absolutely killed it in that role. That's a good movie. Fuck Quentin Tarantino as a person.
Yeah.
But he's got some good movies out there.
He's got some good movies.
And as long as we recognize that Quentin Tarantino is a awful person and we make it well known, we can enjoy a movie or two. Yeah. We just have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So, Chance, I guess we're talking about our LARP characters today. We'll go ahead and let that be the topic. Tell me about Lucky.
So, Lucky's an idiot.
Yeah, he is. Dude.
I went into building. We talked about this the other day. I went into building Lucky right after watching the show Frontier.
Yeah.
And Frontier is like all like colonial fur trades and all that. Jason Momoa's in it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Jason Momoa." Those are his lines,
of course.
And there's one character. He's like a New York businessman, and he's got this just like batshit crazy number 2.
Yeah.
That he'll be like, "Hey," what seems like, I don't know, like fucking Charles or something. He'll be like, "Hey Charles, can you go take care of the competition?" And he'd be like, "Yeah." And then it cuts to a scene of him like with a knife in an alleyway.
Holy shit.
Like he's just insane.
And that's what you based Lucky
and
off
that's
of.
I based Lucky. I made him. I was like, I'm gonna make somebody's number 2.
Which was ridiculously crazy how complimentary that was to my character who had just started a crime gang.
Exactly.
And was looking for a number 2.
Yeah.
It was such good timing
And then
that it all fell apart.
But when I first got into DR, not when I got into it, but when I got interested in it and like looked everything up and was doing like that pre-research you do, I was living in New York.
Were you?
So I was gonna be playing at the New York game. And that's
crazy.
why Lucky's a Yorker.
And that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and that's why so much of his backstory is like ingrained into Old York in the setting.
He was originally going to be a York local.
He was originally just going to be a local. And he was going to be like, "Hey, I'm just one of the other fucking Yorkers."
And then you became the only Yorker in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Who's Kane?
Who's Kane?
Kane doesn't exist. These are all inside jokes for people who go to DR.
Yeah. But I made Lucky. And then I knew I wanted to make a bad guy because I'd always played I'd played rogues and shit before.
Yeah.
But I had never like been to a LARP. And I was like, fuck it. If I'm already going to a LARP and kind of out of my comfort zone, let's just make a villain.
Yeah.
So I built Lucky, and now everybody thinks that Lucky is the little golden retriever.
Yeah, I don't.
And
where did they get
I don't
that?
understand.
I think they put that upon you.
I think so.
That's a title they thrust upon you, was Good Boy of the Waste.
Yeah, and I was like,
You're absolutely not.
Yeah, like we had that.
like okay, so a story time.
Yeah,
story
I know
time.
what story you're gonna tell me.
Jesse and Lucky get their two little dumb shit heads together because separately they're very smart. But when you put them together, they only have one brain cell.
That's also true for just us as well.
That's true, yeah. And we get together and we're like, hey, let's go kill some folk and take their stuff. And we were like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So we lured some people outside, killed them, took their stuff, and then when a big crowd of people came by and caught me, they were like, hey, Jesse killed that guy. They Lucky just dipped into the shadows.
Lucky went into the crowd and went, yeah.
He straight up was like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, dude.
We were friends.
Yeah.
You
That
son of a
was a
bitch.
fun
It was fun.
weekend,
Oh
though.
God, that's when I remember when I got so frustrated I punched that bird box.
Yeah, I do.
What do you call it? A birdhouse?
You know what? I miss that birdhouse. You know why? Because I always found scrounge there.
Yeah, you did. I ruined that for everybody.
Yeah. Every time I walk by, I'd be like, there's my scrounge. Like, it got to the point where it was like, that's mine.
I felt that's when I was going through some like really life shit and like everything was piling on top and I just lost vision.
That's such the strange thing about LARPing.
Is
like
the bleed.
The bleed and like when the writing is done in a way where you can plan it. Like we've been planning plots.
Yeah,
but like as soon as we start it, somebody else is gonna get intertwined in it, and then it changes. And like
someone who's not a part of that plan.
Yeah, it's this. I love LARPing because it's
Me
this
too,
really
dude.
interesting, like dynamic storytelling that you can't pre-write.
Exactly.
You know,
you can. It's like D&D.
Yeah.
You can only prepare a certain amount up to a certain line, and then if you get anything more than that bare bones, it's a lost cause.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna come in and they're gonna fuck it up. As I was telling my my friend who asked me recently about DMing. You can only prepare a bare bones because a party is going to take that story and they're going to run with it, and everybody's going to run a different direction.
You know what I think it is? I think it's when people first start DMing and when people first start playing D&D, they always consider the plot and everything that's happening the DM's story. Like I remember I had players that would tell me like, oh, whatever works for your story, and like it's really that thing of like, no, dude, like this is a collaborative story effort. This is something that you can introduce something to and I can introduce something to.
This is all of us involved in this.
And I think LARPing really forces that on you.
Absolutely. It's way more collaborative because when you go to a LARP, unless you're the director, you don't have control of really like too much. You take the story where it goes. The director, you're not DMing anymore.
No.
You're a player now.
Yeah.
Everyone's a player except for the director.
Damn. Yeah. The directors like basically run a D&D game.
They do. That's
for
what,
like
that's
50
what
people.
Will and Craig do.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, Craig stepped down.
Will and
the
other person.
I don't remember how to pronounce their name.
I know you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna attempt it.
We'll
but you know who you are. You know we
screen.
love you.
But yeah, no. Being at a LARP and not being like a director is you have that collaborativeness forced upon you. Because like we've heard the horror stories of D&D, where like a player thinks they're the main character and like everything's around them, and you can really choose not to interact with stuff as a D&D player. It's very hard to choose not to interact with LARPing.
You have to straight up be like, because you're in the scene. Yeah. It's not like you're sitting at a table and role playing. You can just get up and walk away from the table. You're in the scene. You have to go up to this person, look them in the fucking face, and go, I'm not gonna be a part of this.
Yeah, and like that's at that point nobody's gonna like you, and it's
and like no one's gonna. There have been people, there have been players. I'm not gonna name names.
Yeah, there
have been players that I have interacted with that 100%, just like they won't die because of no.
Yeah.
There was a player who did some really like stupid shit to the in-game government, and I was part of a mod of elite fighters They sent out the fucking biggest dudes they could.
Yeah.
I was part of a squad of elite fighters who was supposed to hunt this guy down that game and kill him.
Yeah.
We found him. He was in disguise. We knew it was him, but he was in disguise. And he just avoided the consequences of the whole thing because even though he was in a well-known disguise of his, he just said no. Which I think here's why that bothered me.
Okay.
Here's why that bothered me. Because of the actions of this player, the story got fucked.
Yeah.
Because he said, no, I don't want to face the consequences for my actions.
Yeah.
He did not let the story conclude in the way that it naturally would. That is not a cool thing to do as a player. I think actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Because of A, B. You should accept that.
And also because LARPing and like...
It's, yeah.
You are, when you're LARPing for a larger LARP like we go to, like Dystopia Rising.
That's like nationwide.
Right. Your story, at a D&D table, your story will at most affect 3 other people.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
Yeah.
But if you're at a LARP, that story has the potential to like affect a lot of people.
So here's how that could go. People could come in and be like, what? This elite group of fighters couldn't get this one guy?
Yeah.
People like other like it just doesn't. Also, it doesn't help that this player is a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, I hate this guy as a human.
Yeah.
He's just not a fun player. It just bothered me.
I got you.
It bothered me a lot.
Yeah.
Not only because I was disappointed I didn't get to use any of those fancy powers they gave me.
Yeah.
But because this player has a history of not accepting the consequences of their actions.
And, like, you can do that in-game.
You
like,
can.
You cannot...
There's a right way to do that and a wrong way to do that.
Yeah.
That we knew it was him.
Yeah.
We even pointed it out. He just out of game looked at us and said no and left.
That's not a solution.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know. We love LARPing.
We do love LARPing. There's
frustrating aspects.
And so here's the thing. And I'm not knocking saying
We've
no
already started.
getting out of a scene.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
I am knocking, because, like, I'm knocking doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because there's the right reason where it's like, oh, hey, this, what's happening here is, like, it's a phobia of mine. It's triggering. I need to get out of here because this is just not a situation I want to be a part of. That's fine. But when you just want to do it because you don't want your character to die.
Yeah.
You can die. Like,
Mark
has told me before, like, if you don't want to take an infection, you don't have to take an infection. I'm going to bleep out every name I put in here.
That's fine.
I've been told before by a director, if you don't want to take an infection, you don't have to. But you still got to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It bothered me.
I think the thing, like, LARP has taught me the most that I've started transferring into D&D is that it's okay for the players to know some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can walk into a game and I can go up to the director and be like, I would like Lucky to die this game. And it'll probably happen.
Yeah.
It'll probably happen. And, like, to some people, that feels very, like, metagamey, but, like, it's being able to not metagame that makes it work. But, like, I can go, hey, I want Lucky to die this game. And then while I'm as Lucky, try everything in my power not to die.
So,
you know?
I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to bleep out every name. But
Mark
our wonderful
Mark
put out a request for
Mark
to die.
Yeah. Oh, I remember this. I think I know what you're talking
and
about.
my character, Driver, it was a new character I was trying out, chose to adopt
Mark
and
Mark
other character, I don't remember her name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Under his wing, he's like, these are my children now.
Yeah.
Even though
Mark
was so much older than me. When that mod showed up, I fucking got a group of guys together and fought them off, and she didn't die.
And that's what I'm saying. Like
I ruined that for her.
The storytelling can be affected by, like, outside sources and outside people.
That brings it's come full circle.
It's LARPing's so cool, dude.
LARPing is cool. I love LARPing.
I do too.
I love everything about it. There's something, it's so different than D&D. I love how a lot of people describe it, and that's just as the next level.
Yeah. It's the next step.
It is the next step, because you're no longer sitting around a table imagining it happening.
Yeah.
You're in it.
You're as
there.
close as you're gonna be. I've started taking that aspect into my games.
You have?
I told all of my players like yesterday, because I almost killed a player yesterday
no.
on her second game of D&D ever.
Oh no.
I had a dire wolf.
That's right.
Nat
That's
20.
the same one that fucked me and Kelly.
Yeah, but she almost died, and like she was worried that she wouldn't be able to play the game at all, like in this campaign. Like we would just kick her out of the group, and I was like, no, that's not how D&D works.
You'll just make a new character.
And like I didn't even think of that as like a mental, but like I've started taking that into account, and I told all my players, hey, if you guys die and you don't want to stop playing your current character, let me know.
I've said the same thing to my characters, to my players. Has been like, hey, if I've told them straight up in session 0, it's something we discussed, that there are only 1, maybe 2 ways to bring someone back to life in my game. Yeah. If you really don't want to die as a character, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll put those ways in front of you.
Exactly. You know? Exactly. Just let me know. Otherwise, if you're cool with dying.
Totally. I also told him the opposite. I was like, hey, if you ever get tired of the character you're playing, we can kill him off.
Absolutely.
And like I feel like doing that instead of just blindly kind of throwing shit at your players, like really going back and forth with it, adds so much storytelling possibility. Because if I was one of your players and I went, hey, I don't want to play this character anymore, let's kill him off, and I just let you do whatever, that'd be cool. You'd kill him off the next session in some way. I'd be like, whoa, that was cool. But if we worked together on it, and I was like, hey, I'd like this character to die, I want to play a new one, but let's make this character die involving dwarves, or whatever, or involving the axe of his grandfather. That'll be a much more fulfilling storytelling experience on both sides.
I talk to your players.
Yeah,
is a very big thing. And players, talk to your DM. Like we're not mind readers.
If you ask your DM for a story hook and they say no, get a new DM. Unless you're like
in like an adventures league,
a super like dungeon crawly. If you're going through the fucking Emerald Spire Pathfinder, then like
you talk to your DM.
Yeah, but
they will usually be more than happy to help.
Take a lesson from LARPs. Definitely talk to people, because I think one reason that LARPs are like that is because you're playing your character. Your character's a lot closer to you when you're in their clothes. So actions, we talked about bleed earlier. The actions that take place in your character's story might affect you. And like I feel like because of that, there's that extra layer of security that is talking to your directors and being like, hey, I'd like to do this. Hey, this is I think that's why LARP is a little bit better with like trigger warnings and stuff.
Oh, it's great with it.
Because you're there.
So like
if a DM describes a phase spider, I'm going to be like, oh, cool, I can just not think of that.
Yeah.
But if a director puts a phase spider in front of me...
That's true. They could put a spider directly in front of you.
Yeah.
Which is why in LARP, you have to be a lot more, like, on it.
Yeah.
About, like, content people are going to be exposed to. You got to really think about it.
For sure.
Especially because this ranges all ages from 16 to, like, 60.
Yeah.
We have players from, like, all over that range. I have played with a 14-year-old player before.
Yeah.
His mom had to be there with him the whole time, which was fun. She basically had to accompany him through the LARP. But kid was fast. Dude was so fast.
I thought you were gonna say fat.
no.
I was like, damn, dude.
He was like a skinny. It was up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
He was like a skinny, thin, just.
Yeah.
He was like octane.
Yeah. I adore new players because of that. Because sometimes the new players won't write any backstory.
Yep.
And which is not good, but.
Jesus,
but what I did with his last group is I was like, hey, here's the roughest draft of a backstory I can come up for your character. Sent it to them, and then they were like, oh, I like this part, let's do more of that. Oh, I don't like that part, let's take some of that away.
I've never thought about that.
It's a really cool way to do it.
Recently, when I helped my new players in my new campaign make their campaign, or make their characters, they came to me with an idea of, we sat down and I was like, okay, what do you want to play?
Right.
And they chose, for example, I have a player who's playing a soldier. He was an Eastern soldier during the war. He was like, I kind of want to make someone who's traveling west to make up for what they did during the war. And I was like, okay, yeah. And so we modified that along. We came up together. We wrote the backstory of who the leader of his squad was, who got him out, who he's looking for. And we built those pieces. Even for a part of the world I didn't even necessarily have. I don't have too much written about Eastern Illusia because everything that takes place in Illusia happens in the West.
Right. It's fun homebrewing, and this is something that once I started doing, it felt a lot better. If there's a part of your world that you don't have fleshed out, but you have maybe one or two details, and you have a player that's interested in that area, don't be like, oh no, I don't have anything written for that, sorry, you can't play that.
See, what would you do if you were a character in this area of the world? What would you look like?
And that's how I got some of my best racial stuff from like the Jungle Elves, the Criterions.
Absolutely.
All I had for the Criterions before I had a player play one is they were elves and they lived in the jungle, and their languages are somewhat based off like more Polynesian stuff, and they like bugs.
There it is.
That's all I had. And I feel like had I been a younger DM, if somebody were like, I want to play a jungle elf, I'd be like, oh, I don't have enough written, I'm sorry, can you pick something else? But
being more experienced,
at that time I was like, absolutely, I'll let you know, I don't have a lot of lore, let's build some fucking lore.
That's exactly how I would do it if someone was from Kratikov, the newest continent in Astra is the name of the planet.
It's a great way to really let your players leave a mark on your world. And like later on, I've had fun moments where like I've had new players since then, and like they've talked to some of my old players, and my old player gets to go, hey, I'm the one who helped with the Criterions. You know, and it's just this really cool like
that's how it is with our friend Neptune,
the Viper Folk,
and the Viper Folk, because they wanted to play a snake person, but I did not want them to play a Naga or a Yuan-Ti. I was like, because I hate both of those. So I was like, all right, you and I are going to build this together. And we did it on stream. And we built the Viper Folk, who are an integral part of my world.
And it's funny how like little things will like just happen. I feel like story writing and world building, sometimes you just got to let shit happen.
You do.
You just got to be like, that's how it is now. And it makes it deeper and it makes it more fun. And the example that I had, I think my last session or the session before, somebody's playing an owl folk.
Okay.
The owl folk's like 1.5 feet tall. And he was talking to one of the party members and just fluttered up on the party member's shoulder to talk to him. And then they were just still walking.
Just like, hey.
And I was like, it's funny. It's like the owl folks don't have any concept of personal space. And then the player went, yeah. And then like we just decided that owl folk, all of them, they just no concept. They all huddle together, they'll hop on you, they'll bounce on your head, and they'll just
That's amazing.
They're like full people. So like you can be like, hey, there's this thing called personal space, and they'd understand. But naturally they're just like, hey,
how's it going? He'd be like right here, just like hey.
And it's like just these little moments that you can really use to just deepen.
And so one thing I say is, don't be afraid to run your game in your homebrew world if you don't have too much written for your homebrew world. Because throughout the game, more will come. Like, here's a good example of you in one of my games. You helped me with a very interesting part. I didn't have too much written for the northern peaks in Illusia, specifically, the place I call Emir's Fall. Until I just knew the Ymir died there, the last giant. He was an ice giant. It didn't used to be a snowy, icy region, but his dead body decomposing froze the region forever because he was a frost giant. Then that winter came, and we saw the trees. The trees covered in ice, and I looked at them and I was like, wow, they're like crystal trees. And because like the sound they made, like clinkling in the very quiet night, it was very beautiful. And I was like, the crystal trees of Ymir's Fall. And like dope. So we were like, yeah, sure, like that works. And so like, yeah, there are crystal trees that grow there. But then you were like, I want to play a druid who's a lumberjack. And I was like, Awesome. Now there are lumberjacks in the north.
Crystal lumberjacks.
There are lumberjacks who harvest the
with
crystal
like maybe
trees.
special axes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Axes made for harvesting the crystal on the trees.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
so because you made that character, that is now, there's a full place where there are people and NPCs I have written for it.
For sure. Dude, it's so much of it's just being like, you don't have to write your world alone.
No, you don't. Absolutely. No one.
It's even better if you don't.
It really is. You get a better sense of stuff involving in it because I help you with stuff for yours and you help me with a lot of stuff for mine.
And it's the whole thing of like, no matter everything you create is going to have a little bit of your stamp on it.
Yeah.
But if you let somebody else come in with their stamp, that's going to make the world seem much deeper and varied.
It is.
Because you got 2 whole stamps.
You got 2 whole stamps.
That's like, I would have never thought of some shit for the Jungle Elves.
Yeah.
When I first had the Jungle Elves, the Criterions, I was like Bug.
But elf.
And smaller than elf.
Yeah.
And one of my players thought, what if they had a week-long festival every year that was like all of the tribe, because each tribe's like based off a bug. So you have like the spider tribe, the mantis tribe.
That's pretty cool.
And they all produce something different. So like the spiders tribe, they produce silk.
Okay.
They're weavers.
Yeah.
The praying mantis are like monks and like protect shit and stuff.
That's really cool.
Every year they all come together and exchange their goods. So like the bee clan will give you honey in exchange for silk.
That's really cool.
I would have never thought of that shit on my own.
Yeah.
That's way too wholesome.
That is.
I would have been like, every year they meet and they have to fight to the death.
Back to mine.
Yeah.
In mine. Oh, sorry, I don't mean. Back to mine.
I'm sorry, we're not talking about me.
Yeah. No, but like in mine, another example of like something like that.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of the Silver Striker clan.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, like they're my favorite thing. Of the Viper folk, there is Clan Silver Striker. They silver their fangs when they come of age.
Yeah.
They earn their silver fangs. Because silver is a good metal for fighting magical creatures. Because of their ancestor, who was the founder of the clan, I think his name was like
Salazar Silver.
It was something with an S. I'm gonna go with Calzar right now. Calzar Silver Striker, who silvered his fangs in order to protect his family from a werewolf.
Yeah. That's
and because of that, the Silver Striker clan silver their fangs in honor of that ancestor.
And like that.
And I never would have thought of that.
And that bit of lore has like a very unique Neptune stamp.
Yeah.
And like it adds so much depth to the world.
It really does.
Because like everything, even though like Tolkien worked a lot with C.S. Lewis and whatever, almost everything in the Lord of the Rings universe has a very unique Tolkien stamp.
It really does.
And like it all feels like Tolkien. While like I don't know. I just feel like if somebody else had gone, like if R.A. Salvatore had put a stamp somewhere in Middle Earth, Treebeard would be called like Bezel Nompledorf or something. He would have some long, unusual name that R.A. Salvatore keyboard smashed on.
That's how he got Dritz do Undren.
Yeah. God, I think it's the first book of Icewind Dale mentions a dragon.
It does.
And it's like there's no vowels in the
I had to come up with a drow name recently for the drow I play in your game. Relzodendron.
Yep.
A fun character.
Very fun character.
But his name is actually Romulus. His name is really Relzodendron, but
he took on a moniker.
A moniker of Romulus Solitaire.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about Romulus a lot recently.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to deal more with the fact that he's a drow prince. I would love it if like someone tracked him down and was like, "Sire, we need you."
Yeah.
And like he was just like, "Nope,
everybody's dead.
Everybody doesn't matter. I'm just off here." And they're like, "No, you need to come rule. You need to take like I think I would love for that to come up at some point.
And now that I know that, we can make that happen.
And talk to your DMs.
There we go.
Folks.
Chat, we did it, and we won.
We won.
We won podcasting.
We won D&D.
I'm going to tell the podcast, but look at you.
Oh.
Professionalism.
Yeah.
There's going to be new House MAK merch soon.
There is.
Because we had a little rearrangement of people.
We did.
And some designs have gotten taken down. The old designs are still up, but I also designed new designs. So there's going to be new House MAK designs.
Yeah, new merch.
On Teespring and the other one.
Do we still do Design by Human?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I want a House MAK hat.
They exist.
One like this.
Yeah, a dad hat.
Yeah.
I can make one.
We can make some House MAK. I want a Dag hat.
Yeah,
Dude, we need the Dag hat.
Yeah. What it is, it has the round House MAK logo right here,
Yeah.
and then it just says like Dag somewhere.
Yeah, just like on the side here.
Yeah,
just
dude.
Dag.
Yeah. Or it just says Dune. It's a Dune themed House
It's
MAK.
just orange.
But yeah, that'll be coming out soon.
Yeah.
Some of the old designs are still up,
Mm.
but the new designs will be easy to throw together.
Why don't you pick up a Not My Jam hoodie?
That's true. Those are still up there too.
Those are still. I want one of those.
Yeah.
I should have bought one when I had money.
Yeah.
But I bought a motorcycle instead.
I guess.
I guess. God. All right. Well, you know what? On that note,
Yeah, dude.
I think this is a very scatterbrained episode
It's fine.
of High Fantasy with
They
no
all
real
are.
topic. We kind of bounced around. We went more Galaxy Hour with this one.
We'll just watch it again and decide what we've talked about the most, and just be like LARPing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Collaborative storytelling.
collaborative
we fixed it.
storytelling. We did it.
All right. Cool.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye. There we go.
Nailed it.
We